Warning, listening to this ad may cause sudden cravings and spontaneous happiness. Because at Bedina's eShop, we bake sweet breads so good they've been known to stop arguments, fix bad days, and make your dog think you're the favorite again. From our famous mini loaves to cookies and dog treats, everything's homemade in Amarillo, Texas with real ingredients and a whole lot of Mimi magic. Need a treat for yourself? A peace offering? A bribe for your kids? We don't judge. We just bake. Order at bedinaseshop.com, follow us on Facebook, or catch us at the Golden Spread Farmers Market in Amarillo, Texas. Bedina's eShop, baking happiness and occasionally preventing meltdowns. Link in description.
Hello, and welcome to Noetic Resonance. Today we will be discussing the Book of Enoch. A link to read it in its entirety for free is on my website under the Lost Books tab. Before we begin, please know that this episode is for educational and spiritual exploration only. The Book of Enoch is an ancient, religious, and apocalyptic text. It's not medical advice, and it's not being presented as proven historical fact. This is a conversation about meaning, symbolism, lost teachings, and the questions that have stirred human beings for thousands of years. So with that said, today we're entering one of the oldest and most mysterious texts in the world, the Book of Enoch. What is the Book of Enoch? The Book of Enoch, also called 1 Enoch, is part of a category called the pseudepigrapha, meaning it's attributed to a biblical figure, in this case Enoch, the great-grandfather of Noah. But most scholars agree it was written over time by multiple authors during the Second Temple period before the time of Christ. It's not part of the Bible as most know it, but it was widely read, especially among early Jewish and Christian communities. In fact, it's quoted directly in the book of Jude in the New Testament. 1 Enoch is a composite book made up of 5 major sections, including the Book of the Watchers, the Parables, Similitides, the Astronomical Book, the Dream Visions, and the Epistle of Enoch. Where did it come from? The Book of Enoch was only preserved in full in Ethiopic language, called Ge'ez. Here we go again with pronunciation. Please be forgiving, and thank you for your patience. The version we have today was translated from Greek, which was itself translated from an earlier Aramaic or Hebrew original. Fragments of 1 Enoch were found among the Dead Sea Scrolls, confirming that the text was well known and circulated long before the rise of institutional Christianity. And yet it was excluded from the official Bible canon, likely because it didn't fit the emerging narrative of control, order, and simplified theology. This is a book that names names. It points directly to divine beings who stepped outside their assigned roles and changed the course of human history. First, we'll cover the Book of the Watchers. This is the most famous section, and for many, the most captivating. It begins with Watchers, a group of heavenly beings tasked with observing Earth. But instead of simply watching, they descend and take human women as wives. From these unions come the Nephilim, giants, great in size and strength, but also violent and destructive. These watchers began to teach humanity all kinds of knowledge, like weapon making, sorcery, enchantments, astrology, cosmetic use, the properties of roots and stones. And at first glance, it seems like they're offering gifts. But these gifts lead to chaos, imbalance, and corruption of the earth itself. One of the leaders, Azazel, is blamed for teaching warfare and vanity. He becomes a symbol of transgression, so much so that in later Jewish tradition, he becomes the name associated with the scapegoat, the one banished into the wilderness. And here's where it gets fascinating. The earth cries out. The very planet mourns the violence of the Nephilim, and in response, the Most High sends the archangels to act. Enoch, who walked with God according to Genesis, became the intermediary between heaven and earth. The watchers asked him to plead for them, to intercede, but their petition is denied. The judgment is severe. They are bound, buried beneath the earth, held in darkness, and are there until the time of the final judgment. This theme of beings who were once light, now bound in shadow, echoes through later Gnostic and esoteric traditions. The Watchers become the model for fallen intelligences, those who tampered with divine order and altered the timeline of human evolution. Here's where some people compare the Watchers versus the Archons in the other Gnostic texts. They're two classes of spiritual intelligences, both fallen, but they're not the same. So first we have the Watchers. The source is, they come from primarily the Book of Enoch, and their role is they were originally heavenly angels assigned to observe Earth. Their fall was when they chose to descend and intermarry with humans and give forbidden knowledge. Their motivation was desire, compassion, rebellion, and curiosity. Their judgment is they're bound under the earth until a final reckoning. Their characteristics are they're named individually, such as Azazel and Samaja, and they acted against divine will. Their offspring, the Nephilim, created violence and imbalance. They taught humanity secret arts like warfare, enchantment, and astrology, and some consider them sympathetic rebels. Others consider them destructive corruptors. They represent the corruption of divine purpose through emotional compromise, the dangers of misapplied knowledge, and the beginning of spiritual distortion through desire and disobedience. Compared to them, we have the Archons. So they come from the Gnostic texts, the Apocrypha of John, the Pistis Sophia, and On the Origin of the World. Their role is cosmic gatekeepers or rulers created by the demiurge. Their fall was not fallen angels. They were imperfect creations from the beginning. Their motivation was to have control, hierarchy, and preservation of the false material world. Their judgment is often portrayed as still ruling this realm until liberation occurs. Their characteristics are they were created by Yaldabaoth, the demiurge, a being who believes he is the true God. They govern planets, bodies, time, and illusions, the false matrix. They act through deception, imitation, and limitation. They're often depicted as soulless, mechanical, and disconnected from divine source. And they're not usually given personal names, though some lists do exist. They represent the distortion of divine light through ignorance and illusion, the system of control, oppression, and spiritual amnesia, and barriers between the soul and its true origin in the pleroma, the fullness of light. Some spiritual researchers and visionaries like myself explore how these beings overlap or connect symbolically. The Watchers may represent the first ripple of distortion, the moment divine beings crossed a boundary through emotion and intent. The Archons represent the system that forms around that distortion, cold, ordered, devoid of heart, a matrix of control. In this framework, Watchers, their hearts are corrupted by desire. Archons equal mind corrupted by ignorance. Both are cut off from the source, but for different reasons. The Watchers fell through longing. The Archons ruled through forgetting. One crossed the veil by choice. The other was born behind it. Next, we have the parables. This section introduces a new figure, the Son of Man, the Chosen One, the Light of the Nations. The parables are structured as three visionary allegories shown to Enoch. The first parable, in chapters 38 through 44, it discusses the fate of the righteous and wicked and the end of injustice. In the second parable, chapters 45 through 57, comes the appearance of the elect one, the Son of Man, which includes the judgment of kings and mighty ones. In the third parable, in chapters 58 through 71, the final judgment comes with the heavenly hosts and Enoch's own transformation and enthronement. They are framed as divinely given visions and read like apocalyptic revelations, but with layers of symbolism, justice, and hope. In the first parable, the coming of justice, the key themes are the righteous will dwell in light and peace. The sinners and oppressors will vanish from the face of the earth. The earth will be cleansed of violence, and cosmic elements like the sun, stars, and winds will testify to divine order. The first vision focuses on moral polarity. Those who cause destruction will be destroyed. Those who love truth will shine like light. It begins to hint that heaven and earth are not separate. All creation is watching and participating in divine justice. In the second parable, the revelation of the elect one, the Son of Man, this is the heart of the parables. The revelation of the mysterious figure called the elect one, the righteous one, and the Son of Man. Who is he? He's described as hidden and preserved by the Most High, seated on a throne of glory, full of wisdom and righteousness, chosen to judge the mighty kings of the earth, a light to the nations, and one who brings mercy to the righteous and judgment to the wicked. This figure has cleared parallels to the Son of Man in Daniel 7, the Messiah in later Jewish texts, and the Christ figure in early Christian thought. Some scholars suggest this is the earliest full-fledged image of a messianic cosmic judge in Jewish apocalyptic literature. It is said at that hour, the Son of Man was given a name, and before the sun and moon were created, he was named. This being is pre-existent, divinely authorized, and cosmically enthroned. In the second parable, the judgment of the kings, much of this parable is focused on corrupt rulers, especially kings who deny justice, those who consume the wealth of the earth, and those who exploit the righteous. They are gathered before the throne of the elect one and judged for their deeds. This is not just religious, it's deeply political. The parables are revolutionary literature, calling out oppressive systems and declaring that cosmic justice is real. In the third parable, it talks about the heavenly hosts and Enoch's transformation. The themes include the light of the righteous will grow brighter, the secrets of the heavens are revealed, angelic beings are described in detail, the Son of Man is shown with the hosts of the holy. Most strikingly, Enoch is taken into the heavens and shown the throne of glory. He is then transfigured, and by chapter 71 it says, "And that Son of Man was Enoch." This verse is highly debated. Some say it means Enoch becomes the Son of Man. Others believe it's a scribal gloss or a visionary merging. Enoch is shown the archetype of the Son of Man reflected within himself. Some esoterics interpret this as Enoch embodies the journey of the soul from earthly witness to divine messenger to luminous being. The Son of Man may be a collective archetype, the blueprint of what humanity can become when aligned with truth and divine will. Herein steps scholarly and canonical controversy. The parables are not found among the Dead Sea Scrolls, unlike the rest of 1 Enoch. This leads some scholars to say that they may have been added later, but the language and styles are consistent with the rest of the text. Early Christians were deeply influenced by this section, especially the Son of Man imagery, throne scenes, and judgment motifs. This is why the parables still matter. They affirm that light is not passive. It corrects, reveals, and restores. They offer hope that the hidden righteous will be revealed and vindicated. They challenge systems of false power and spiritual abuse, and they also propose a heavenly court above human courts, one that sees everything. The Son of Man in Enoch is a heavenly, radiant being who carries the divine blueprint of justice, mercy, and restoration. Many early Christians believe this was a prophecy of Jesus, and whether you read it literally or symbolically, the archetype speaks to something eternal. The light of truth that was hidden and will be revealed in the time of judgment and renewal. He is the one who will sit in judgment over the fallen ones, and eventually over all kings, rulers, and oppressive systems. This is powerful cosmic courtroom imagery. And for many early leaders, the Son of Man looked a lot like the coming Messiah. Whether or not this section was a later addition, it builds a bridge between Enoch and later apocalyptic literature like Daniel and Revelation. The parables of Enoch are not just visions of judgment. They are blueprints of justice. They speak of a time when light will sit on the throne, truth will not be mocked, and what has been hidden in the heavens and on earth will be revealed. Next, we have the astronomical book, also known as the Book of the Luminaries. This section is a vision shown to Enoch by the angel Uriel, who is described as the angel who is over the world and over Tartarus, a high-ranking archangel and revealer of hidden order. It presents a detailed and symbolic description of the movements of the sun, moon, and stars, the calendrical structure of the year, portals through which celestial bodies rise and set, an angelic order that governs the stars and times. Unlike modern astronomy, this isn't about physics. It's about cosmic law, divine timing, and the spiritual alignment of the heavens. Why was this so important? The ancient Hebrews and many other cultures understood that timekeeping was sacred. Calendars governed sacred feasts, agricultural rhythms, and ritual law. And shifting or corrupting the calendar could disconnect people from divine timing. In 1 Enoch, this book exposes how some groups had corrupted the timekeeping system, especially those aligned with the false priesthood or imperial powers. The astronomical book restores the true calendar as revealed by heaven. This aligns it with the Essene tradition, who followed a solar calendar and rejected the temple authorities, and sets the stage for later apocalyptic movements who believed time had been distorted by unjust rulers, both earthly and spiritual. Here's what's actually described. The first thing is the solar year in chapters 72 to 75. The year is 364 days, unlike the lunar-based Jewish calendar of 354. The sun rises and sets through 6 heavenly portals in the east and west. The solstices and equinoxes are explained as turning points of the year, and days and nights lengthen and shorten in precise ratios as the sun moves. This section emphasizes order, balance, and recurrence. Enoch is being shown how creation itself follows a heavenly pattern. The second thing it covers is the moon movements in chapters 73 and 74. The moon also travels through portals, but in its own unique rhythm. The phases are mapped out across the months, detailing waxing and waning. And the moon lags behind the sun by about 10 days per year, which is why the lunar calendar becomes misaligned over time. This shows a subtle critique of lunar-only calendars. They drift from the true solar year unless corrected. The third thing it covers is the stars and angelic guardians in chapters 75 through 77. Certain stars are described as heavenly luminaries under angelic governance. There's mention of 4 winds, 4 directions, and 7 mountains, likely symbolic structures that mirror the heavenly order. And some stars are bound for transgression, mirroring the watchers. It implies that even in the heavens, some intelligences disobey divine law. The fourth thing that's covered is the portals of heaven and the nature of the cosmos in chapters 78 and 79. Portals are like dimensional gates through which the sun and moon travel, and rain, frost, snow, and dew come through other portals. The entire weather system is part of this divine architecture. Number 5 is a summary by Enoch and warnings in chapters 80 and 82. Enoch is told that in the days of sinners, the order of the heavens will be hidden. Seasons will no longer align. The moon will change its order, and heavenly time will be lost, and earth will fall into confusion. The deeper symbolic meaning of this is stars equal beings. In many ancient traditions, stars were considered angelic or sentient. In Enoch, the stars are living lights with assignments. Some obey, others transgress and fall. Time equals power. And to distort time is to disorient the soul. The astronomical book is a restoration of spiritual rhythm, a cosmic tuning fork. Uriel is the revealer. Uriel's presence emphasizes that this isn't secret knowledge, it's knowledge that was stolen or forgotten and is now being returned. This is why it was and is controversial. It clashes with official priestly calendars. It undermines temple authority because calendar equals control. It suggests that even the heavens have rebels and promotes the idea of sacred science where math, time, and spirit are intertwined, not separate. In short, it's a cosmic rebellion narrative dressed as astronomy. The astronomical book isn't just ancient science. It's a reminder that rhythm is sacred, order matters, and when time itself is tampered with, the soul loses its footing. Enoch's vision is a return to true alignment. Next, we have dream visions. What are the dream visions? The dream visions are a set of two primary visions given to Enoch. The first dream in chapters 83 and 84 is a vision of impending destruction, likely referencing the flood. The second dream in chapters 85 through 90 is the animal apocalypse, which retells the entire history of the world through symbolic animals. These visions function as kind of sacred dream language, showing that history, cosmology, and divine justice are all woven together. They're not linear prophecies, they're mythic blueprints. So in the first dream, the vision of the flood, Enoch sees the earth being destroyed in a great flood. The earth trembles, the heavens fall, and great destruction covers the land. He cries out to his grandfather, Methuselah, in fear, asking how to help future generations. This short version echoes the upcoming story of Noah, who will be warned and saved, and shows Enoch's role as a seer who receives divine knowledge not just for himself, but for the descendants of the earth. In the second dream, the animal apocalypse, this is a main event. A dream narrative retelling of human history using symbolic animals. It's incredibly detailed and spiritual, offering a cosmic overview from creation to judgment. It has a symbol key. These symbols are not random. They're consistent with Jewish visionary tradition. We have the white bull, who represents Adam, the black bull, who represents Cain, the red bull, who represents Abel. Sheep represent the Israelites and righteous ones. Goats represents the Gentile nations and oppressors. Lions, wolves, and eagles represent foreign empires like Assyria, Babylon, and so on. Shepherds represent angelic beings and spiritual overseers. Fallen stars represent watchers or rebellious beings. And wild animals represent corrupting nations or systems. This is the structure of the vision. The first part of it is the creation and the first generations. Adam is the white bull. Cain, the black bull, kills Abel, the red bull. Generations multiply and things go dark. Next is the descent of the watchers. Stars fall from heaven and mix with cattle, an allegory for angelic beings mating with human women. They produce elephants, camels, and donkeys, strange hybrid beasts. These hybrids devour everything, representing the corruption and violence that spreads. The earth becomes full of blood and destruction, echoing the watcher's sin. Next is the flood and Noah's salvation. A white bull is born, Noah. He is lifted up and removed from the destruction. A great sword is given, and the land is cleansed. After that is the post-flood world. New generations come, bulls and sheep mix again. Eventually, sheep become the dominant image, representing the Israelite people. 12 sheep appear, which is symbolic of the 12 patriarchs of Israel. Then comes oppression and exile. The sheep are led astray. Wolves and lions attack them. This is imagery of the Assyrian and Babylonian captivities. The sheep cry out to heaven for help. Then in steps the role of the shepherds, the angels. 70 shepherds are appointed to oversee the flock, but many of them are corrupt. They either neglect or harm the sheep, and God keeps a record of all they do. This is a clear critique of angelic watchers, priesthoods, or spiritual administrators who abuse power. After that is the great judgment scene. A white ram arises, the symbol of renewal or messianic leadership. The Lord of the sheep, the Most High, judges the shepherds. Books are opened, and the deeds of the wicked are laid bare. The earth is restored, and all animals are transformed into white bulls again, representing purity and unity. It ends with the entire corrupted world being cleansed, restored, and aligned with divine order once again. These are the symbolic themes. The first one is spiritual history as animal drama. The vision reduces nations, beings, and epochs into pure instinctual archetypes. Lions devour, wolves scatter, sheep huddle. It's a spiritual storytelling at a mythic scale. The next thing is cosmic oversight. There are layers of watchers, some angelic, some corrupted, some still righteous. Divine justice is never absent, only delayed. After that is the judgment as restoration. This is not a vision of destruction for destruction's sake. It ends in transfiguration. The righteous shine, and the world is healed. All those who had been destroyed and dispersed gathered together in one place, and they all became white bulls. In esoteric interpretation, the animal apocalypse is like a dream-coded map of the soul's journey through systems of oppression, forgetting, and exile, and its return to divine order. The Watchers, shepherds, and predators represent not just historical nations, but also forces that feed on the flock, spiritual or energetic parasites. The white ram and judgment throne prefigure the archetype of the Redeemer, or Son of Man, a being of divine origin who restores alignment. In Enoch's dream, the earth becomes a battlefield of beasts and betrayal. But even through exile and predation, the cry of the righteous is not forgotten. And when the final shepherd stands, the books are opened, and the beasts become bulls once more. Not because they fought, but because the truth was revealed. It reminds us that the apocalyptic literature isn't about destruction. It's about revealing of truth and the restoration of divine justice. These beings who once ruled, their time is numbered. And those who remained faithful, even if they were hidden, will be restored. Next, we'll cover the Epistle of Enoch. It's in chapters 91 through 108 of 1 Enoch. It is the final section of the book, and while it's often less discussed than the Watchers or dream visions, it's spiritually potent, deeply ethical, and cosmically timed. It's both a prophetic letter and code transmission that ties together the earlier visions with a clear call to the righteous and the timeline for divine judgment. So what is the Epistle of Enoch? Unlike the earlier parts of the book, which are filled with visions, parables, and cosmic journeys, the Epistle of Enoch is written in the form of a letter or a series of spoken blessings, admonitions, and prophetic announcements that Enoch gives to his children and to future generations. It's filled with wisdom, literature, moral instruction, and apocalyptic prophecy. These are the main themes of the Epistle of Enoch: the destiny of the righteous versus the wicked. There is a crystal clear division. The righteous will inherit light, peace, and eternal joy, and the wicked and sinners will be removed from the earth and face eternal darkness, burning, and sorrow. This division isn't only about belief. It's about action, integrity, and how one treats others. In a quote, it is said, "You sinners, you have not been steadfast, nor done the commandments of the Lord, but you have turned away and spoken proud and harsh words." The second theme is the 10 weeks of prophecy in chapters 93 and 91. This is the most timeline-based prophecy in all of Enoch. Enoch divides the weeks of humanity into 10 symbolic weeks. Each week represents a period of spiritual development or decline, accumulating in final judgment and renewal. Here's a simplified summary. In week 1, you have the birth of Enoch and his era. In the second week, great wickedness spreads. In the third, a man is chosen, an Abraham-like figure. In the fourth week, law is given to Israel. In the fifth week, the temple is built and apostasy begins. In the sixth week, great corruption and apostasy. In the seventh week, the elect arise and judgment begins. In the eighth week, righteousness is revealed and the sword of judgment is used. In the ninth week, there is final judgment on the wicked and destruction of evil. And in the last 10th week, a new heaven is created and all of mankind lives in eternal righteousness. This is an early example of apocalyptic time mapping, not just to predict the future, but to remind people where they are in the cosmic drama. The next theme is the role of the chosen and the elect. The epistle frequently references the elect, those who remain faithful to truth, humility, and justice. They are hidden now, but they will be revealed in glory later. This lines up with themes from the parables, the Son of Man and the elect one, the dream visions, sheep who remain true, and the astronomical book, the righteous shining like stars. The next theme is warnings to sinners, kings, and oppressors. The tone towards rulers and oppressors is unflinching. Woe to those who build wealth by blood and theft. Woe to those who exploit the poor. And woe to the kings who trusted in their thrones more than the divine. You shall have no peace. There is a strong focus on accountability, not just personal, but systemic. The next theme is blessings to the righteous. Enoch blesses those who endure suffering patiently, those who remain pure in a corrupt world, and those who pass on wisdom to their children. These are not grand heroes. They are quiet, steadfast souls. This makes the epistle deeply relatable to those who feel like outsiders in a fallen system. Boy, doesn't that resonate. In symbolism and esoteric layers, the 10 weeks reflect more than just history. They symbolize soul evolution, civilization cycles, and the rise and fall of energetic ages. The repeated warnings about sinners corrupting time, seasons, and balance echo back to the astronomical book, hinting that spiritual distortion includes altering the rhythm of creation itself. The final chapters describe the fate of souls after death, some to light, some to dark places, foreshadowing ideas of Sheol, resurrection, and judgment found later in Christian and Gnostic texts. In chapters 102 through 105, Enoch speaks to the righteous dead. In a particularly moving set of passages, Enoch speaks directly to those who have died in righteousness but did not see justice in their lifetimes. Be not godless in your hearts, and lie not, and alter not the words of uprightness. Woe to them who pervert the words of uprightness. This is a message to all hidden ones. Your suffering is seen, and your vindication is coming. In the final chapter, 108, a hidden book for the elect, Enoch speaks of a book that will be given to the generations of light, who are to rise in the final days. It is a message of hope. They shall be clothed in garments of glory, and these shall be the garments of life from the Lord of spirits. This book, 1 Enoch itself, is implied to be that hidden transmission. I do like how it references the garments of life. It sounds very much like the garments of light in the other Gnostic texts I discussed in episode 2. This is why the epistle still matters. It combines prophetic vision, ethical instruction, and cosmic timekeeping. It centers spiritual integrity over dogma. It reassures the listener, your pain is not forgotten, and the system is not supreme. And it names injustice clearly, while offering a path of light for those who walk quietly and righteously. A quote from the scripture says, in the final words of Enoch, we are not promised escape. We are promised vindication. The righteous will rise not through power, but through perseverance. And the time of the forgetting will end, because those who are of the light were never meant to stay hidden forever. The book of Enoch was silenced, but it survived. It speaks of beings that fell, truths that were hidden, and wisdom that was twisted. Whether you see it as myth, allegory, or revelation, it gives voice to something deep in the human spirit, that something went wrong, that truth was buried, and that light will return. Thank you for joining me for this journey through one of the most powerful lost texts. May we walk forward with clarity, balance, and the courage to remember what we were never meant to forget. Next episode, I will be covering the Book of Giants and the Book of Jubilees and how they tie into the Book of Enoch. Until next time, may your path be aligned, your gnosis be clear, and the veil ever be thin. Thanks for all the love and support. Much positive vibes.